With bowl season approaching ever so closely, I think it's a good time to do some predictions, because why the heck not? So let's do it. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Drew, better known as RockChalk01, and in this video, I'm going to be giving my bowl predictions for the 2022 college football bowl season. Yep, so I made a poll on YouTube asking you guys what I should do. Should I do just Big 12 bowl games only? Or should I go the full enchilada and do every game? And man, you guys really want me to do extra work. Thanks a lot. 44 games in total, and I'm going to do them in chronological order. So starting from December 16th, going all the way to January 9th for the national championship game. Now, how we're going to do this, I'm actually going to do it in 3 sections. So I'm going to do the non-New Year 6 games first, and then the New Year 6, and then finish it off with the college football playoff. But without further ado, here's my predictions.
The Bahamas Bowl.
So our first game is on December 16th, as it's the Bahamas Bowl, and it features the Miami of Ohio Redhawks and the UAB Blazers. Now, both teams are 6-6, and this is going to come down to the run game. And I think UAB's run game is just a tad bit better than Miami of Ohio's. I mean, UAB's run game really helps them tack on points, as they average just under 31 points a game. So my prediction, I'm going to go with UAB by a final score of 33-17.
The Cure Bowl.
The next game is also on December 16th, and that is the Cure Bowl, and that features the UTSA Roadrunners and the Troy Trojans. This is a game that I might actually watch, because this is pretty interesting. Both teams are 11-2, and they're in the top 25. One has an incredible offense, the other has an amazing defense. And honestly, in this game, I think defense will prevail, and Troy's got the better defense. So my prediction is Troy winning this game close, 27-24.
The Fenway Bowl.
All right, the first of many games on December 17th, and it's the Fenway Bowl, and it features the Cincinnati Bearcats and the Louisville Cardinals. Now, this time, it's different records, as Cincinnati is 9-3, and Louisville is 7-5. Now, in my eyes, I think it's going to be down to this. Can Louisville's offense stick around with Cincinnati's defense? As Cincinnati gives up just 20 points a game, but the Cardinals offense averages 27, and I just don't see that happening. And it's Luke Fickell's going out party. I think they'll be fine. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati as my predicted winner, and the final score, let's go 34-23.
The Celebration Bowl.
Who says you can't include FCS bowl games? So this game is also on December 17th, and it's the Celebration Bowl, as it features the Jackson State Tigers and the North Carolina Central Eagles. Now, this game, I think this one's going to be the blowout of the group, because, gosh, look at Jackson State with Deion Sanders, Shamir Sanders. Those guys are incredible, and it sucks that this is their last game with the Tigers, as both of them are jumping ship to Boulder, Colorado, as Deion is becoming the new head coach of the Buffaloes, and there's a good chance that Shamir is going to be their starting quarterback, because nepotism. But I don't think NC Central stands a chance, and I predict a blowout. I think it's going to be Jackson State by a final score of 48-14.
The Las Vegas Bowl.
The next game, also on December 17th, and we head to the Strip, as this is the Las Vegas Bowl, and it features the Florida Gators versus the Oregon State Beavers. This one, it looks lopsided on paper, but it actually is very interesting. Florida is 6-6 on the season, and Oregon State is 9-3 and ranked inside the top 15. However, the one thing that's really going across my mind is, can Oregon State's offense hang with an SEC defense? And that answer is yes. I think Oregon State's offense is much better than Florida's defense. So my prediction, I'm going to go with Oregon State in a close one, 33-26.
The Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl.
Well, we're at the halfway point with our December 17th games. This time we head to the City of Angels for the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, and it features the Washington State Cougars and the Fresno State Bulldogs. This one, you can almost flip a coin at this point, but in terms of records, Washington State is 7-5 and Fresno State is 9-4. In my eyes, I think it's going to come down to the Bulldogs offense. I mean, yes, they average almost 31 points a game, but I just don't know about how they're going to do with the Cougar defense. I think it's going to be a nail biter, and I think Fresno State hangs on. So my prediction, I'm going to go with Fresno State winning this game 28-23.
The Lending Tree Bowl.
Keep counting them up. It's another game on December 17th, and it's the Lending Tree Bowl, as it features the Rice Owls and the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Now, this game, I think it's going to be a sleeper. I don't think a lot of people are going to watch this game. I probably won't, but it features a team that's under 500 because of academic reasons. Rice got in with a 5-7 record, and Southern Miss got in with a 6-6 record, which they were going to go anyway. This one on paper, I think it's pretty obvious. I think Southern Mississippi is going to be fine because Rice's defense is terrible. They give up 34 points a game, and they actually don't even outscore. The defense actually outscores the offense in terms of points given up. So, yeah, I've got Southern Mississippi winning this one comfortably, 37-21.
The New Mexico Bowl.
All right, folks, we're almost there. It's another game on December 17th, and it's the New Mexico Bowl, and it features two schools with 3 letters in its name. It's the SMU Mustangs and the BYU Cougars. Now, this one's pretty evenly matched. Both teams are 7-5. Both teams have a pretty good offense and a crappy defense. I think both defenses will even themselves out. I don't think it's going to be an offensive game per se. I think BYU pulls this out in a nail biter. So I'm going to go with the BYU Cougars as my predicted winner, and the score 27-24.
The Frisco Bowl.
Finally, it's the last game on December 17th, and it's the Frisco Bowl, and it features the North Texas Mean Green going up against the Boise State Broncos. Now, on paper, this is not even a contest. I mean, North Texas is 7-6, Boise State is 9-4. The Broncos are the more developed team, as they average 29 points per game and only give up 18.5, while the Mean Green average more on the offensive side of the ball, getting 34 points a game, but they give up a lot of points, giving up 31.5 points per game. In my eyes, there's no question that Boise State should win this game and win comfortably. So my prediction, I've got the Boise State Broncos winning this ball game 30-14.
The Myrtle Beach Bowl.
All right, our only game on December 19th, and that is the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and it features the Marshall Thundering Herd as they take on the Yukon Huskies. Now, this game isn't even fair, and I might not even watch this game unless if there's like nothing on TV, because I think this one is not evenly matched. Marshall is 8-4, Yukon is 6-6. Marshall scores more and has an incredible defense. Yukon doesn't score a lot, and they don't have a great defense. So in retrospect, if you put the Yukon Husky offense facing off against the Marshall defense, they're pretty much going to get field goals this entire game. But I think there'll be some scoring, and there's no question. I've got Marshall winning this ball game, and winning fairly comfortably. I've got them winning 26-17.
The famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
All right, next game is on December 20th, as it is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, as it features the Eastern Michigan Eagles and the San Jose State Spartans. Now, this game is actually pretty evenly matched, as Eastern Michigan is 8-4 and San Jose State is 7-4, but this is really going to come down to defense. Whose defense is more likely to crack in this situation? And I think San Jose State's defense is not going to be the one that breaks away. I think their defense is going to hold together and help them win this ball game. So I've got the Spartans in this one by a score of 28-21.
The Boca Raton Bowl.
From one coast to the other, as this is another game on December 20th, and it's the Boca Raton Bowl, and it features the Liberty Flames as they take on the Toledo Rockets. Now, the only difference between these two teams is one team has one more loss, as Liberty's record is 8-4 and Toledo's is 8-5. Now, last game I said that it would be a defense that would crack. Well, this time I'm going to say that it's an offense who might end up slipping. And honestly, I think it's Liberty's offense that's going to slip. So in this case, it's going to be very close. I predict Toledo to win this 32-30.
The New Orleans Bowl.
We're going down to the Bayou as there's a game on December 21st, and it's the New Orleans Bowl, and it features the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers as they take on the South Alabama Jaguars. Now, this game is pretty interesting, and I don't know why no one's talking about it, but Western Kentucky has a good record of 8-5, and South Alabama has an impressive record of 10-2. But this is going to come down to whose defense can hold their ground. I mean, both teams have a really good defense. Western Kentucky only gives up 23.5 points a game, while the Jaguars only give up 19.4. And honestly, with South Alabama's 10-2 record, I think they're going to be thinking comfortably, and I think they just slip through the cracks. So my prediction, I've got Western Kentucky winning this one by a score of 35-30.
The Armed Forces Bowl.
Finally, a game in my wheelhouse, and it's on December 22nd, and it's the Armed Forces Bowl, as it features the Baylor Bears as they take on the Air Force Falcons. Now, on paper, this doesn't look pretty. I mean, Baylor's squad is 6-6, and the Air Force Academy is 9-3. I don't know. In this game, I mean, Baylor has the high-touted offense, but with Air Force's defense, oh boy, they're going to have some trouble. Because the Falcons give up only 13.3 points a game. And, oh man, they're going to have a little bit of trouble. So, being honest here, my prediction, sorry Baylor, I've got to go with Air Force. Now, I think the game's going to be close. So, I've got the Falcons winning it 27-20.
The Independence Bowl.
All right, we're picking up speed as we got another game. This time it's on December 23rd, and it's the Independence Bowl as it features the Louisiana Raging Cajuns as they take on the Houston Cougars. This one is kind of evenly matched, but in a way it's not. Louisiana is 6-6, Houston is 7-5, and it's all going to come down to whose offense is better. To be honest with you, I think Houston has a way better offense, as Houston averages 37 points a game. Despite giving up 33.5, I think they'll be fine. My pick, I'm going to go with the Houston Cougars winning it by a score of 38-24.
The Gasparilla Bowl.
Man, I really hate to do it, but I gotta. And it's another game on December 23rd, and it's the Gasparilla Bowl, as it features the Wake Forest Demon Deacons as they take on the Missouri Tigers. Ugh. Tail to tape, Wake Forest is 7-5, and Missouri barely cracks in with a 6-6 record. Now, in a way, I predicted it close, but I think Wake Forest has this one pretty comfortably because Missouri's offense isn't that great. They only average 25.5 points a game. They give up 25. Wake Forest has a more highly touted offense as they average roughly 37 points a game. So I'm going to give it to the Demon Deacons. I'm going to give it a fairly close game, but I think they'll end up blowing them out because, me being a KU fan. So my prediction, I'm going to say Wake Forest wins it 37-27.
The Hawaii Bowl.
Aloha, oi, aloha, oi. Christmas Eve, we got another bowl game, and it's the Hawaii Bowl, as it features the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders as they take on the San Diego State Aztecs. this one might be another sleeper. Both teams are 7-5. Both teams make their games fairly close just because of their offensive points per game and how much they give up on defense. But I think Middle Tennessee's offense is going to be so much better, and they'll get past San Diego State's defense with ease. And I think the Blue Raiders defense will hold up. So I'm going to go with Middle Tennessee winning this game 30-20.
The Quick Lane Bowl.
All right, the day after Christmas, December 26th, we've got only one game, and it's the Quick Lane Bowl, and it features the New Mexico State Aggies as they take on the Bowling Green Falcons. Now, this one actually might be fairly easy to pick because both teams are 6-6, but one of the defenses is absolutely god-awful, and that's Bowling Green's. I mean, the Falcons give up 33 points a game, while the Aggies defense only gives up 24.3. But I think New Mexico State's offense is going to do a little bit better and actually have a productive game. So my prediction, I've got New Mexico State winning it 33-27.
The Camellia Bowl.
All right, we got a few games here on December 27th, and we start with the earliest game, and that's the Camellia Bowl, as it features the Georgia Southern Eagles as they take on the Buffalo Bulls. I mean, take your pick at this point. I mean, both teams are 6-6. Georgia Southern gives up a crap ton of points. But, I mean, both teams, when it comes to offensive points per game and defensive points per game when they give it up, I mean, it's close matches. But I think Buffalo's offense will give Georgia Southern's defense a ton of trouble. And I think Buffalo will pull out with a win. So, my pick, I'm going to go with Buffalo, and I'm going to say it's close. I've got the Bulls winning it 28-23.
The First Responder Bowl.
All right, we've got another game on December 27th, and it's the First Responder Bowl, as the Memphis Tigers will face off against the Utah State Aggies. This game is what everybody thinks will be the definite sleeper, because no one cares about this game. I don't know what it is, but both teams are 6-6. Utah State's defense sucks. Memphis's offense is good. There's no question. And I kind of agree with it. I think this is going to be a reasonable blowout, 3-score game. And I've got Memphis winning it very comfortably, 35-17.
The Birmingham Bowl.
All right, game number 3 of the December 27th games. And it's the Birmingham Bowl. And it features, say this one 3 times fast, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers as they take on the East Carolina Pirates. Now, Coastal Carolina is 9-3, East Carolina is 7-5, but the only difference is that the Chanticleers defense isn't really good, as they give up 30.1 points a game, and the Pirates average 30.5 points a game when on offense. I think East Carolina will pull it out with a win, and I mean barely, by the skin of their teeth. So, my prediction, East Carolina wins it 28-27.
The Guaranteed Rate Bowl.
All right, the final game on December 27th is the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, and it features the Oklahoma State Cowboys as they take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, this one is pretty evenly matched. I mean, Oklahoma State is 7-5 and Wisconsin 6-6. Now, the real question is, does Spencer Sanders actually play in this one? And in my eyes, I'm going to say yes, just because of the length of time that they've had off. He's got a lot of time to really recuperate. So all this really depends on him and Oklahoma State's offense, and I think they'll be fine. So I've actually got the Oklahoma State Cowboys winning this by a final score of 30-26.
The Military Bowl.
All right, another heavy slate of games as we're now at December 28th, and the first game on that day is the Military Bowl, as it features the UCF Knights as they take on the Duke Blue Devils. Now, as a KU fan, we've seen Duke play, and they're a really good team. But UCF is also a good team. UCF is 9-4, and Duke is 8-4. Now, in my eyes, it's going to come down to who has the better offense. And in my eyes, Duke's offense is really good, but UCF's is just a tad bit better. And I think this game is going to be really close. So my prediction, I've got UCF winning it 33-31.
The Liberty Bowl.
All right, the game in my wheelhouse. Also on December 28th, it's the Liberty Bowl, as it features the Kansas Jayhawks as they take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, both teams are 6-6, and it's the complete opposite, as KU has one of its best seasons in years, and Arkansas had a big fall from grace. Now, the big question is, can KU's defense hold up? I mean, they give up 34 points a game, which is not great, but I don't see that happening with Arkansas's pretty decent offense with KJ Jefferson. Arkansas averages 31 points a game, and yeah, I don't think KU's defense holds, and it ails me to say this, but my prediction, I got to go with Arkansas winning this one. I think it's close, so I've got the Razorbacks winning 35-27.
The Holiday Bowl.
All right, moving right along, the third game on December 28th is the Holiday Bowl, and it features the Oregon Ducks as they take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, Oregon, 9-3, missed out on a Pac-12 title game appearance, and North Carolina, 9-4, and they failed to win the ACC championship. This one is going to come down to whose defense cracks, and looking at all the stats and how games have gone, I think North Carolina's defense slips up. I mean, they give up 31 points a game, but yeah, Oregon's defense is just a tad bit better in my eyes. Plus, their offense is insane as they average nearly 40 points. So, my prediction, I've got Oregon winning this one 41-28.
The Texas Bowl.
And the final game on December 28th is the Texas Bowl, and it features the Texas Tech Red Raiders as they take on the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, Big 12 versus SEC is always a doozy, as Texas Tech is 7-5, Ole Miss is 8-4, but the Red Raiders do give up a ton of points, and I mean 29.5 points a game. However, does it ail enough to get them a win? No. I think their offense is just a tad bit worse. If they rack up amount of points constantly, I think their defense is just going to let them down. So my prediction, I've got Ole Miss winning this one and winning by 2 scores, 38-23.
The Pinstripe Bowl.
All right, not a heavy slate of games on this day, but our first one on December 29th is the Pinstripe Bowl, and it features the Syracuse Orange as they take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Now, on paper, this looks like a pretty decent match. I mean, Syracuse is 7-5, Minnesota's 8-4, but gosh, Minnesota's defense is going to be big in this ballgame, as they're one of the defenses that hold teams to under 20 points a game, let alone under 15 points, as Minnesota averages 13.3 points a game given up. And that's what I see. I've got Minnesota winning it 34-20.
The Cheez-It Bowl.
All right, game number 2 on December 29th is the Cheez-It Bowl, and it features the Oklahoma Sooners as they take on the Florida State Seminoles. Now, people, this game's going to be a landslide. I mean, just looking at the records, Oklahoma's 6-6, Florida State's 9-3. Oklahoma gives a lot up on defense. Florida State does not. And I mean, under 20 points a game for the Noles on the defensive side of the ball. That's pretty stinking good. And I mean, their offense does a lot better than Oklahoma's, as they average 36 points a game, while Oklahoma averages 33. And that's enough for me. I've got Florida State winning this one 37-21.
The Alamo Bowl.
And the final game on December 29th is the Alamo Bowl, as it features the Texas Longhorns as they take on the Washington Huskies. Now, this one is up in the air for some people, especially me. I mean, Texas is 8-4, missed out on the Big 12 championship game, and Washington is 10-2, and they missed out on the Pac-12 championship game. But it is going to come down to whose defense cracks. I mean, Washington's defense gives up 26.3 points a game. Texas's defense gives up 21.2, but the offenses are incredible. I mean, with Quinn Ewers with Quinn Ewers under center at Texas, they averaged 36 points a game. And then you look at Washington's offense. Gosh, I can't speak. But Washington's offense averages 41 points a game, which was one of the best in the FBS. And I honestly think Washington's defense is going to slip up. Yes, I know Washington's 10-2, and they're probably the heavy favorites, but I got to go with Texas in this one, and I got it close. I'm going to go with Texas winning at 30-23.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl.
All right, another heavy day of games, and it's December 30th as we start with the Duke's Mayo Bowl, as it features the Maryland Terrapins as they take on the NC State Wolfpack. Now this game, I think it's going to be a little bit more on the low scoring end. Maryland's 7-5, NC State is 8-4. Both teams average under 30 points a game, but NC State's defense holds teams to under 20 points, and I think they'll keep that going with this one, and I think their offense will step up and kick it into high gear. So I've got the Wolfpack winning 27-16.
The Sun Bowl.
All right, game number 2 of 4 for the December 30th non-New Year's Six slate, and it's the Sun Bowl as it features the Pittsburgh Panthers as they take on the UCLA Bruins. Now, UCLA, my gosh, they have a really good offense. I mean, averaging just under 40 points a game, but their defense does give up 28. And I don't think that will be a factor. I think their defense is going to hold up. I think they'll hold Pittsburgh to under their averages, which is 31 points a game, under 300, 400 yards a game. I think UCLA is going to be fine, and I think they're going to win comfortably. So I've got the Bruins winning this one by a score of 38-24.
The Gator Bowl.
This one's a doozy on December 30th, as it's game number 3 on that day, and it's the Gator Bowl, and it features the Notre Dame Fighting Irish as they take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Both teams are 8-4 and almost have the same amount of numbers when it turns into offense. The only difference is defense. South Carolina's defense is just a tad bit worse, and I think they slip through the cracks because Notre Dame's defense is actually pretty good as it holds teams to just under 22 points a game. So, yeah, I got to go with Notre Dame, and I think it'll be a close game. So, my score prediction for this one, I've got Notre Dame winning 30-23.
The Arizona Bowl.
The final game on December 30th in terms of non-New Year's Six, and it's the Arizona Bowl as it features the Ohio Bobcats as they take on the Wyoming Cowboys. Geez, this one is kind of obvious in my mind and a little bit of a sleeper game. But yeah, I think with Ohio's record, and since the Cowboys actually don't average a ton of points on offense, I think the Bobcats got this one comfortably. So Ohio wins it, and the score 30-21.
The Music City Bowl.
All right, only one non-New Year's Six game is on New Year's Eve, December 31st, and it's the Music City Bowl, and it features the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Kentucky Wildcats. To be honest, this is a game of boring because despite this, both teams are 7-5, but both teams can't score worth a lick, and they have really good defenses. I mean, Iowa, probably the worst out of the bunch in terms of offensive productions, as they average 17 points a game. But they give up 14, which is really good. And then you got Kentucky when they average 22 points a game, but they only give up 19 on defense. Now, if I had to pick a winner, coin flip and 2 scores. So I'm going to go with the Kentucky Wildcats winning it by a score of 24-13.
The ReliaQuest Bowl.
Okay, this one's kind of tough with the situations that's happening, but the first game on January 2nd, that is a non-New Year's Six, is the ReliaQuest Bowl, as it features the Mississippi State Bulldogs as they take on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Yeah, this one's going to be tough because Mississippi State is electing to play this one after the recent passing of their head coach Mike Leach after a HA, which I don't know if it's a censored word or anything like that according to YouTube, but I'm just going to call it HA just in case. Both teams are 8-4. The Bulldogs actually average more points on offense than Illinois. However, Illinois' defense does not crack. as they only give up 12.3 points a game, which is the best I've seen all video. With the situation at hand, my prediction is actually going to go in favor of Mississippi State. I think they win this one for Coach Leach. So I think it's going to be close. So my prediction is Mississippi State winning this one 28-24.
The Citrus Bowl.
All right, the final game on January 2nd, and in the final non-New Year's 6, it's the Citrus Bowl, as it features the LSU Tigers as they take on the Purdue Boilermakers. This one just looks simple and pretty obvious to me. I mean, LSU is 9-4 and was the SEC West champions. Purdue is 8-5 and was the Big Ten West champions. But LSU just does so much better on offense, so much better on defense. I think this is going to be, in a way, non-competitive, but I think Purdue will try and keep their toes in this game. But I've got LSU winning this and winning by 2 scores. So Tigers win 35-21.
The Orange Bowl.
All right, New Year's 6 time, and our first game is on December 30th, and that's the Orange Bowl, as it features the Tennessee Volunteers, and they take on the Clemson Tigers. Now, tail of the tape. Tennessee is 10-2. They missed out on the SEC title game, and Clemson is 11-2, and they're the reigning ACC champions. Now, this one is going to come down to whose offense is going to slug it out the best. And in my eyes, I think it's going to be Tennessee's. My gosh, they average 47 points a game, which is the highest in all of the FBS. Clemson averages just under 35 points a game, but their defense is just a tad bit better. But I think Tennessee's offense is just going to roll through it, and Clemson will try and make it a close game, but I think the Volunteers win it. So I've got Tennessee winning 38-33.
The Sugar Bowl.
All right, the only New Year's 6 game on New Year's Eve. December 31st, it's the Sugar Bowl, as it features the Kansas State Wildcats as they take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, situation, the tail of the tape. Kansas State 10-3. They're the Big 12 champions, as Alabama is 10-2, and they missed out on the SEC title game and did not make the college football playoff for the second time ever. Now, in terms of this, I think Alabama wins it. My gosh. Their team averages 41 points a game with Bryce Young and those guys. Their defense is stellar, only giving up 18 points. I mean, Will Howard's doing his thing at K-State, but I just think K-State's defense will just slip up against Alabama's offense. So I've got the Crimson Tide winning it, and winning it by just less than 2 scores, 41-28.
The Cotton Bowl.
All right, New Year's 6 games that are after New Year's Day. It's January 2nd, and we first start with the Cotton Bowl, as it's the USC Trojans as they take on the Tulane Green Wave. Now, this is an interesting thing. USC and Tulane both have the same records at 11-2. However, one of them is a conference champion. Can you take a guess who it is?
1 hour later.
I mean, it's not that hard.
2 hours later.
Any moment now.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Okay, I'm just going to say it. Tulane. Tulane's the conference champion out of this matchup, because USC lost against Utah in the Pac-12 championship game, and Tulane won the American. Now, does the conference champion have the advantage in this one? No. Gosh, no. USC's offense is incredible. I mean, they've got the Heisman, Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley. After leaving Oklahoma, just did amazing things at USC, except he couldn't beat one team, and he could have been undefeated if he just beat that one team. I don't think this one's going to be close. I've got USC winning comfortably, 42-24.
The Rose Bowl.
And the final New Year's 6 game that isn't a part of the playoff, and it's also on January 2nd, and it's the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl game, as it features the Penn State Nittany Lions as they take on the Utah Utes. All right, tail of the tape. Penn State, 10-2. They get here because 2 of their other teams are in the playoff, the Big Ten champion and the team that they beat to make it to the Big Ten championship game. And then you got Utah, Pac-12 champions, 10-3. They beat USC twice. There's a good reason why they're here. Now, both teams pretty much the same on paper. Average roughly 35 points, maybe 40 points a game if you give a little bit of edge to Utah. But their defenses are stellar. And you know what? I think the Utes edge out the Nittany Lions after having a heartbreak last season in the Rose Bowl. I think Utah wins this. So I've got the Utes winning it 38-35.
The Fiesta Bowl.
All right, playoff time, and our first game is on December 31st, and it's the Fiesta Bowl, as it features number 2 Michigan against number 3 TCU. Tail of the tape, Michigan undefeated, 13-0. They're the Big Ten champions. And then you got TCU 12-1 and Big 12 runners-up after losing on a game-winning field goal. Both teams have incredible offenses, both averaging over 40 points a game. The only difference is Michigan's defense. Oh my, Michigan's defense. They only give up 13.4 points a game, but TCU's defense gives up 25, and that's going to be the difference. TCU's defense, I think, slips up so many times, and I think Michigan wins comfortably. So I've got the Wolverines winning this one, 35-23.
The Peach Bowl.
All right, the final playoff semifinal and the final bowl game, as that is also on December 31st, and it's the Peach Bowl. And it features number 1 Georgia as they take on number 4 Ohio State. All right, tail of the tape in this one. Georgia, 13-0, undefeated SEC champions. The reigning national champions. Hasn't lost since the hasn't lost since last year's semifinal. And then you've got Ohio State, who's 11-1. They only lost to Michigan, and they missed out on the Big Ten championship. Another highly touted offensive groups. I mean, Georgia averages just under 40 points a game, while Ohio State averages just under 45 points a game. But again, it all comes down to the defense, as both teams are actually really good defensively. But Georgia's good. And I mean, after last year having all of their guys basically go to the draft, they rebuilt. And they average just under 13 points a game that they give up. So this one, I think it's no question. I'm going to go with Georgia, and Georgia wins comfortably, 41-27.
The National Championship Game.
So yeah, this should be pretty obvious. January 9th in Los Angeles. It's going to be number 1 Georgia going up against number 2 Michigan, in my opinion. And tail of the tape, both teams are undefeated. Both teams have good offenses, averaging roughly 40 points a game. And both defenses are incredible, holding teams to roughly 13 points a game. I'm going to go on a home run limb. I think offenses are going to be great. And this one is going to need an extra period. So I am going to predict my winner to be Georgia. And Georgia walks it off in overtime by a final score of 31-25. Whew! That's it. Man, I feel like I did this in just hopefully 40 minutes. But yeah, that's going to do it for my bowl predictions for the 2022 college football bowl season. Let me know in the comments what your predictions are. Also, leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Push that notification bell. Tell your friends about these videos. And I should see you again when the next one comes out. But until then, have a good day. Never ever bring exotic dancers to the field house. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.